At this point, the buyer should have received their RUD system disassembled to the point where they can assemble it themselves. The first step for them is to take their two lower and base plate attachments, set them up 96 inches apart. Right. Once they are 96 inches apart, well, preferably actually about 1.5 inches over 96 inches, so that way you can set in your cross brace properly and sink it in place. Which is what we're gonna do right now. We're gonna bring it on up to one of these sides here. Take your bolts. These are 4-inch by 1/2 inch bolts. You'll need a washer, a lock nut, and another washer, and Nick's already gotten so far ahead of me. So once you have the first bolt connected properly, you'll take the time to push the two pieces together so that it syncs up right. So something that is important to be aware of is that there's only one side of these lowers that actually is designed to fit on the inside of the RUD system. That's the side with your little circular add-on here, which is set up so that this piece will be at flat level. Once you have all the bolts in, you can cinch them down using your 3/4 inch wrench and your 3/4 inch bit. You can go at it. Do a couple things. It will pull these beams to straight as well as put them on the same level with each other. So once you're set here, your base is done. This is as stable and as even as it's gonna get. Your upper pieces, your beams. You wanna assemble them so that the winch side goes here. So this is the winch side. This side right here is the winch side. Not that side, this side. This is the winch side. We are putting the upper assembly into place. So right now Nick is loading the slot into there. He's gonna take a bolt and he's gonna put it through the knuckle. Perfect. So once he's got that, I could take and set this all the way down. In a moment, we're going to be lifting this all the way up. And once it gets up to the point where this bolt hole starts getting into interference with this, we're gonna cut this and it's going to let this free hang. What are we catching on? There we go. So it just comes on up. There we go. Just right up like that. Nice, 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 nice. Take another 4-inch bolt, run it through the upper here. If you find that it doesn't go in all the way, you can just use your impact gun to force it through. Okay, we're gonna repeat the same process for the opposite beam. So I'm gonna lift it up. He's going to clip the zip tie once it gets up to an appropriate point. And then we're gonna push it on up into place. Roll right on up. Nice. Okay. Next step is to add your second cross brace. This guy right here. He's going to go into the middle pair of holes, which are right here, and you can see those set right there. I'm going to lift this up and slide it into place, and Nick's going to put the bolts in. Once he's got the bolts in, I can let go. You want to make sure to come in from the backside, because otherwise the rail that is holding the trucks will prevent you from sliding in properly. Bolt goes in up top. Fit in right there. Washer and nut. Now, because of the material you're working with, you want to make sure that you don't crush it too tightly, because you will compress the tube. The 2x6 tube here, you will compress it by adding the extra pressure on. So make sure that when you tighten it down to where it only just starts doing that and not actually crushing it all the way down. Now, it should be quite stable on its own. This is the winch assembly. Right now we're adding on the 16-foot cable wire to it. Now there's one particular hole in this assembly that you need to run your cable through in order to make the attachment as efficient as possible. There's one singular square hole you can see right there. It has to come out through. Once it's all the way through there, you're just going to do the same thing as normal. Well, and you're going to mount the little guy here. Going to slide it on in. We are adding the winch mount plate to the assembly. And we're going to take this plate and we're going to slot it in with the flat slot up on top. And take this guy and slide it right into place, just like that. And you're going to put the nut and washer back. From there, you're going to want two 1-inch carriage bolts. Well, it's 1 inch by 3/8 inch carriage bolts. They're going to go in from this side, like this, and you're going to use them in conjunction with the 2 slots here and the 2 slots here to align this as you want it. Ideally, and the way I found is the most useful, is to do the top side first through the singular hole. So once you have that one in, it'll hold it in place and you can kind of jangle it around till you get where you want it to be. Second one goes in the bottom here. I know it's hard for you to see, but there is a slot right here where it's going into and where these are going onto. You should be able to get a impact gun on the top one, but the bottom one you'll need to do by hand. So you want to align it as you want it to, lining up the spool here with the spool up top, the one that's empty. So you do that. You can't get this one with an impact gun. It is out of the way too much. The winches come with a very specific nut. It is only for the winch assembly. Only to attach the winch crank onto the assembly. It is fortunately a 3/4 inch bolt nut, so you'll be able to use the exact same system we only use for most of our assemblies. So this guy It's going to slot on here. It only slots in one way because of how this is set up. This guy goes on over, sets in. Look at that. So we've just mounted the winch system to the main beam, and now we're going to be spooling up the cable into place. Due to the fact that we set up the delivery of these systems with the cable almost all the way extended, you're going to want to spool up the majority of the wire on this upper spool to represent the fact that a lot of the spool has been rolled up as this has gone down. Which means there's going to be roughly, out of the 16 feet of cable, there's going to be roughly 10 feet of cable on this, plus 8 feet of cable here, 6 feet of cable down to the winch, and 2 feet of cable on the winch. Okay, so this is going to come in over top. So whereas inversely, the truck spool is going in underneath, the winch spool is going in over top. So just as with on the ground, there is the void area up here that you can slide your crimped piece of steel into. And then you're just going to start rotating. Your friend on the ground is going to apply pressure onto this piece to keep some tension on it. And then I am just going to rotate this until I rotate roughly 8 feet onto it. But you want to follow the same procedures that we did previously by slotting the wires back over so they're collected in a nice orderly spool as you go. And if your extra set of helpful hands can keep the wire in a generally this line, that'd be great. I'm going to pin this here. Yep, stay holding there. I'm going to pin this back in. Now that we're here, I'm going to have my esteemed colleague pull up here and pull down there. And I'm going to all right, your winch is assembled. We're going to be assembling the driveline, which includes the driveline itself, 2 sleeves, 4 pins, and drilling 2 holes. So these, one goes on either side. They go right in over top. They should slide around really easily. Make sure you have both, one on either end. And from here, we're both going to step up onto our perspective, become tall things. So that should go over there. Any more length, Nick? Okay, right there. All right, you can let go? Sure. Yeah. Look at that. It hangs out on its own. From here, I'm going to have Nick come over here. I'm going to clip this, and you're going to hold the spool in place when I clip it so that it does not freak out and fall away. Go in there. So now it's released. I can pull this free, drop it out of the way. Yep. Slide this up to the hole. And now you can double check, make sure it's running clearly all the way through. Grab yourself 2-inch cotter pins, should be about 3/8 inch thick. And it should slide right on into there. These ones are often the most contentious in just making sure it fits exactly. So you want to make sure you have a drill ready to go with a 3/8 inch drill bit. And all you're going to use this guy to do, so when you get up here, I'm going to grab this right here, make sure it doesn't go anywhere. I'm just going to run it on through, make sure it sets itself all the way through nicely. There we go. Okay, that's there. grab a cotter pin, put it through there. Great, it's now holding position. If you let go of it right now, the truck will spool and it will start moving on its own, which will unspool this and undo all the work it took you to get you out here. So you need to have your guy stay holding onto that. If you could pull it down just a little bit, right there perfectly. Don't let go. Oh, I'm now going to drill a hole through here. The reason you don't get one pre-drilled is because the exact point at which you're going to be installing this is not confirmed up until the point where this gets all lined up. So you need to be able to drill a hole through this point here to do the final assembly. Very cool. Just go through there so nicely. Put on through. Okay. You're gonna let go. You're gonna walk over there. You're gonna get up on your stool, and you're gonna hold the end. Okay. So right now, after that one has been set, we're gonna come over here and do the second one. So I'm gonna get up there, or I'm gonna do the exact same thing I just did over there, but over here. Put this one through there. Okay. When we're messing around with this up there, right now we're checking to make sure that both of these are the same distance from the bottom of the truck to the bottom of the line here, bottom of the rail. The reason we're doing that is because if they're both even, it means that the rate at which they'll spool up and down will be relatively almost exactly the same, which will be better for the end goal product, which will be a simultaneously lifting together. Okay. Hey, look at that. Voila. Voila. Okay. We're going to show you how to assemble the leg sections of the wooden roll-up door, the roll-up door of the roll-up door. Here, we finally reached there. So you're going to have two wood cups. They're going to be assembled via 1.5 inch, 1.5 inch by 1/2 inch bolts, lock nuts, 4 screws. So first thing you're going to do, take your wood, slot it in here, press it into place. If it doesn't press all the way into place initially, take a hammer, and there we go. So now it's set in place. Take the second one, same deal. It's just going to slide right on over top. And if it doesn't go all the way down, take your hammer. It should slop right in there. Take your nuts, washers, and bolts. First one you're going to do are the wings. There are 2 wings on either side. Sorry, you can't see this one. It's the same deal as the other one. If you have problems aligning it, use an alignment tool to help yourself get it into place. There are 2 holes right here on the end that you'll need to line these up for. They should fit right up into there. 1. And it looks like that one's going to be off a bit down there, so we're going to again grab our alignment tool. Spin this up a little bit. And just pull it into place. Once it's roughly in the place we want it to be, take our bolts. Once again, if you find that while it's not tightened down, it doesn't set properly, you can tighten it down and it will help hold the metal in place after in order to put the bolt in as you would like. esteemed colleague. Okay. There we go. Last piece that gets added onto here is your wheel. You only need to bend these out a bit just to give it some space. Not too much though. You don't want to overflex it. Okay. 4 3-inch bolts, screws, wood screws specifically. Now that this is completed, we're going to take the 12-footer and we're going to attach it to the 12-footer using four additional wood cups. All right, we're going to assemble the 12-foot wood cups. It's going to get 2 identical sets. They're going to go right onto here. Just push it on in. And if you need to, you can grab a hammer and use that to assist you. Just like that. And this one will come up from underneath, and you will do the same exact deal to get it up in there, including probably needing a hammer. And then knocking it over into place. 2 1.5-inch bolts at 1/2 inch thickness, 2 washers, 2 nuts on this side, and on the opposite side it gets the same exact deal, but you don't tighten down these ones, you don't tighten them down yet until after you get the second piece of wood into the cup. And once that's in, you'll tighten the whole thing down. Now, this is typically easier to be assembled on the ground, where it can all be slid into place a bit easier, but we're demonstrating it, so it's got to be up higher. Goes on like that. Throw a washer, grab a second one. Goes on. Okay, so once you have the bolts in place, you don't tighten it down until you have your wood in place, which we'll do once both sides are assembled properly. Okay, so we're going to attach the legs of the rud system into the 12-footer right here. And so we're just gonna pull and shove this guy all the way in up until it hits. Wood over there. Up until it hits the 12-footer, which it just has. You can see it through this little crack right there. But once it's on all the way, you're going to make sure you have both a 3/4-inch wrench and a 3/4-inch driver. And you're going to secure these front bits first. And you secure the back ones. Once you have the bolts secured, you'll grab your screws and you'll put a couple screws in it. 4 exactly. You'll put 2 screws, and 2 screws up here. Matching the same pattern you did already on the previous. And now you're going to repeat this process on the opposite side and doing the exact same thing that we just did. And then you will finally mount it to the actual rud system. So now that you've assembled your wood sections and your rud section, last thing you gotta do is put the pins in both sides, and you'll be able to roll up and down from that point. So we're gonna take the pin, slide it through here, slide it through the holes in the wood system, right through the truck on the other side. Pin it. And now to properly test it, you just got to go up and down twice. Which should happen. Do this with a friend, not alone. And that's the RUD system.